All right, guys, I think we're good to go. How's it going? It's been a couple weeks, and I actually finally got my screen recording situation figured out. And the good news is I'm able to use a software that's it is built into my Lenovo with Microsoft. So that's going to be pretty much what I'm going to be using from now on to screen record, which is pretty helpful for me and for you guys because I think it's going to be a real boost in quality. And I was already able to record a behind the beat video not too long ago using this, and it's going to be very helpful for doing this new format that I had planned. And I think it's just better because, it's going to be a lot more seamless with audio and video, and I can still show you guys all this stuff as far as the articles that I find and things like that. So very excited to kind of start rolling out this new system. And my goal by doing this is to hopefully make these a little bit more to the point and not as long, no matter what we're covering. And obviously, finding articles that are more short and sweet is kind of the goal. So we're doing that today. And what we're going to be covering today, I had it totally wrong. A couple weeks ago, I told you guys a totally different topic that I ended up having to push back because of that initial pushback of the last one we did, which was vlogging. So this one is going to be kind of an extension of vlogging, and it's going to be about showing your creative process as a music maker, the reasons why that can be important, and I think I first want to just touch on how that's important to me. And I mentioned just a few minutes ago about having recorded behind the beat video not too long ago. And I do those every month. If you guys keep up with this channel at all, I've done that for probably since around 2021 is really kind of when I got into that. And I used to just take my phone and just show my DAW. But, the last few years I've been screen recording more often and showing people actually the FL Studio DAW and showing them how I'm making certain tracks. And I put out one of those a month, and it's been very cool. I've had a lot of compliments on it, and like I said, I'm gonna try to do that more seamlessly now with this new system that we're using. But that's a great example of how I've shown my creative process. And today I kind of want to touch on why that's important and how that can kind of coincide with what we talked about a couple weeks ago with doing the vlogs. Because obviously the vlogs show, it could be anything. It could be lifestyle, it could be touring, it could be the creative process as well. But I want to hone in on just the creative process. So this could be songwriting, this could be obviously music production, like what I do. This could be storyboarding. Maybe you do, you're coming up with an album title and you're putting together a whole mood board or storyboard about themes and writing out different versions of the title to see what sticks best. Could be album art. Maybe you create your own album art. You want to show people how you came up with that, what software you used to do it, if you drew it by hand, if you painted it, whatever you did. That's an example as well of your creative process. And this doesn't obviously just tie to music, but I kind of want to focus on music specifically. So I found this article by the Curator's Salon, and the Curator's Salon, believe it or not, is more of an artist blog for like painters and people like that. But the crossover obviously is very tied into music because, again, this stuff can apply in really any creative field. And as you can see, this one is very short and to the point. So I kind of want to cover these and then touch on them briefly. And I'll show you guys the other article I found too, but I'm not going to go super in depth on that one. So this one says why artists should share behind the scenes glimpses of their creative process. Sharing behind the scenes glimpses of your creative process can be a great way. See, this is funny. Total side note. I used to mess up and you guys never got to see what I was reading, but now you can see right here where I'm messing up and how I'm doing it. So this is awesome. You guys can get a good kick out of that, of me not being able to read. Of your creative process can be a great way to connect with your audience and keep them You see, I'm already doing it. Give them a deeper understanding of your art. Here are a few reasons why. Number one, it helps to build authenticity and transparency by giving your audience a glimpse into your process. You're showing them that you have nothing to hide and that you're proud of the work you do. When I think of that, I think of being in the studio, whether it's a home studio or more professional setup, at a actual studio, whatever. It doesn't matter because your process is your process, right? We've talked about that in the past. They want to see what you actually do day to day. For me, that consists of home studio work. So that's why I'm showing FL Studio, because primarily I'm in the box in FL Studio making beats, messing with vocals, doing mixes, all that sort of thing. 9 times out of 10 is just in the box. I'm not using much of anything else. So I don't really showcase a lot more than that. Uh, I'm trying to think of like recently which people I've seen do it in creative ways, or just do it anyway. And one of my favorite artists and producers is named Black Milk, Detroit native, been around for over 20 years. He just put out an album called Ceremonial this past week, and it's an amazing album. Definitely a big fan of it. Definitely going to be in my album of the year list. But before he dropped the album, part of the rollout was just him in the studio, uh, previewing some of the songs. Like he was just sitting at the console and playing snippets of several songs throughout. He kind of started it with the first single, which was a couple months ago. And he kind of showed like in the studio creating it and then a little bit of snippet of it. But he did that consistently over the past couple weeks, all the way until the night before the album dropped, and he was sharing more and more each day. So he would just share him in the studio listening to the final mixes, and that's a great example of this, of just showing people like, this is where you created this record, was right here, and this is the environment, and here's what's going on. Not showing super in depth. I mean, these videos are a minute or so, that's it. Another one that I actually just saw today is another great producer and artist named Cam Obi from Chicago, Illinois. He's worked with like Chance the Rapper, J. Cole, a lot of big artists over the years. But I've been following his work for a while. He also is an artist himself and a singer and songwriter. And he's been working on this album. I believe it's called Grown Ass Kid or something like that. Grown something. Um, I might have the name wrong, but it's an album that he's been working on for 6 or 7 years now, and he's finally getting ready to drop it. And the last like week or so, he's been posting car test videos. So he's just going in his car and playing snippets of some of the songs to preview for people. And these videos are getting a ton of traction because, again, it's exactly what they're talking about here. Just authenticity, transparency, glimpse into the process, that sort of thing. It doesn't have to be super complex or complicated, which is what we talked about with the vlog, portion a couple weeks ago. I think we all kind of just overthink it, and we think we have to show something super elaborate, or we have to be filming with high grade cameras or whatever. All you got to do is grab your phone, right, and just go, like just film yourself. He just set it up on the dash of his car and was just sitting there playing it off his phone. Simple as that, nothing crazy, and it gets the job done, and it allows people to get that kind of inside look. So number two, it can foster a sense of community. By sharing your process, you are inviting your audience to be a part of it and to see the effort and dedication that goes into your art. This can help to create a sense of connection and community among your fans. And I guess a side note to that would be, if you're posting this on social media, Instagram, Facebook, even YouTube, wherever, TikTok, always make sure to engage with the the comments of people, especially people that are enjoying what you're previewing. If they hear the song and they're like, wow, this is sounding really good. Can't wait for you to drop this. Actually, like, engage with them as always, like you would do with anything else. I've already been brainstorming doing this for the compilation album that I'm going to be dropping in a few months. Because I've been, like I said, I've been seeing these other artists do it. And I'm like, honestly, that could be something to keep in mind for myself. Like, maybe I should just, because I've been trying to really get, especially for that album, like, get really in tune with the content, like making it really good. But I think something like that could go a long way because it doesn't have to be something I have to do super far in advance. I could do that, the day of or the week of, and just start posting like snippets and just like post them on Instagram or to the stories or whatever and just see where they go. So I've been thinking about it myself, but it's just a great way to connect in that sort of light. But again, if people are engaging with it, make sure to actually acknowledge that. And that's again across the board. No matter what you're doing, you should always focus on um, getting back to those comments, whatever it is. If they support you, acknowledge that. It can be a source of inspiration for others. Seeing the process behind someone else's art can be incredibly inspiring and can help others to see that their own creative endeavors are possible. And obviously, that's the whole goal of anything we do, right, as artists, to inspire, to motivate the next person. Um, that's why we do what we do. So this feeds right into that too. Not only can the music inspire someone, but you showing them the amount of work you're putting into it. And that's also, in my opinion, that's another reason why they should care about what you're doing because they see the work you're doing. Not a lot of the times do we get to see our favorite artists um, making our favorite songs. We just kind of have to imagine what it was like when they did that or what type of an environment they were in and mindset they were in when they made it. But if you can give even a little snippet of what that looks like for you, you should do it because it allows the listener to almost humanize you in a way, especially if they don't know you personally. It gives that human element to what we're doing. That's a big reason why I tend to do interviews, like be on podcasts and any type of write ups I can get on as an artist. I'm just like, let's do it because the music is one thing, but they need to be able to humanize you in a way where it makes sense. And I don't know about you, but the more that AI and all this other stuff keeps creeping up, I think that is more important than ever is to show the human side of all of this stuff. And this is a perfect way to do it. And this leads, see, I'm not even reading the fourth point, but here it is. It says it can help to humanize you as an artist. Sharing your process can give your audience a more personal connection to you and can help them see you as a real person rather than just an artist on a pedestal. And that actually kind of leads me to someone I learned a lot from on content is Adam Ivy, who some of you guys might be familiar with. He is an incredible marketer. He doesn't do much music these days. He does mostly YouTube marketing stuff. But back in 2018, I was one of the first people in his Sell Music Mastermind class. And I always learned from Adam that the last thing you want to do, especially when you're trying to push your music and get people to care, is act like you're above your audience, like act like you are on a pedestal above your audience. You want to be right there with them in the trenches, you know what I'm saying? And you want to show them that you're not much different than they are. You lead a pretty ordinary life. Um, and you just love to create and inspire. And that can mean different things to different people. Not everybody's life is the same, and your audience might not be the same as someone else's. Usually, if you're doing it right, in my opinion, you're trying to attract people that are very similar to you. and the way that you consume art. Like for me, the type of music I make is directly tied to the type of fans I want to attract. And it's mostly people that have the same interests as me. So I'm not trying to act like I'm above those people in any way. Like I'm just a normal, everyday person that enjoys making music. So that's what I try to portray in the music, but in everything else too. So it would be no different with this. It's like I don't want to put on a whole elaborate thing and have like a backdrop and all this stuff. It's just like, no, I'll just grab my phone and show people a snippet and call it a day. Like it just goes back to this stuff doesn't have to be that complicated. And if people see something they can relate to, that in turn will most likely make them want to support you more than doing all that extra stuff that they cannot relate to. And I agree with that as a consumer. I feel that way about the artists that I enjoy too. Like I said about Cam Obi, like he's just been going in his car and just filming himself listening to the album. And I think that's super cool because it shows that he's just a normal guy. Like he just does what everybody else does. And he just so happens to make awesome music as well. So yeah, I think that's pretty much covering the whole thing. It's a sharing behind the scenes glimpses of your creative process can be a great way to engage with your audience and build a stronger connection with them. So, again, I just wanted to cover that because I think it's an extension of the vlog thing that we talked about a few weeks ago, but it's much more like in depth on that certain point of that specific topic because you could do vlogs on anything, but I think the creative process is a big way to get people really hooked on what you're doing. And keep that in mind too about like if you're doing a rollout, make it a part of the rollout. Really figure out what ways, find unique ways to do it, but don't overcomplicate it and find ways to intertwine that in your process. I think would be a cool thing to do. So the other article, I'm not going to go into this one. I will pull it up. It's artist coaching, and this one is mostly about music production. It says balancing content and music production as an artist. Published a few years ago, but this one is specifically for the producers out there. I got a lot of value out of this as well. And this is really just, figuring out what that balance looks like for you. I have had to adjust what that looks like for me over the years many times. So I know there's people out there that could struggle with this or trying to figure out maybe you're just getting into making content surrounding your music. You want to figure out, when should I be making music versus when should I be making content about the music? And how do those two things kind of meet together while also keeping your sanity as a human being? It is tough. Like I'll be honest with you, as someone who has a lot of output on music and content, you need systems. Like you cannot survive without some type of system. And I need water, by the way. I don't have water right now. If you don't have systems, it's rough. So, as you can see, it talks about content schedule, all that sort of thing. This one's very short too. You won't be reading this forever, but if you're a producer, for sure, check it out. Even if you're an artist, I would check that one out too. Um, so in a couple weeks, we're gonna be back. I think on the 24th, from the looks of the calendar. So May 24th, I think should be the next one. And we're going to be talking about this is definitely a producer topic, sample searching. So I'll talk about how my process for that has evolved over the years. We'll talk probably about maybe the landscape of sample searching as it stands in 2026 because it has changed a ton. Unfortunately, it's changed in a not so great way from what I know and my own experience, but we'll talk about like what are relatively safe places to do it now because there's a lot of places you could get samples from that aren't relatively safe anymore, which is interesting. But I'll kind of just talk about it from my own experience as someone who is primarily is still a sample based producer for the most part. And just like I think sampling is super awesome, and it's an art form that not everybody can do very well, and the people that do it well, I have the utmost respect for. So it's going to be a cool topic to cover. We'll see where that goes, but I'll start researching that tonight and seeing where I can find it. But these two articles, check them out. They're going to be in the description of the video, and hopefully you guys found value in that. In this, of course, per usual. And let me know, what ways have you been doing this? If you have been doing it, what ways are you planning to share your creative process in the future as well? So thank you guys again for watching. We'll see you in a couple weeks. As always, stay safe, stay positive out there, and we'll see you on the 24th. So take care, guys. Thanks for watching.